Hey there, Dungeon Acid. I do videos on D&D, being a DM. If you like those things, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Uh, Today's video is another in the RPG A Day 2020 series, and today's word is couple. Now, I had a bit of a difficult time trying to determine what I was going to talk about in this video for couple. A lot of the other words kind of jumped out at me, but this one really didn't. Which is fine. You know, there are going to be words like that out of the 30 or 31 that there are. So the way I'm going to take it is kind of a very literal way, and that is couples in D&D, relationships. There are couples in real life, obviously. D&D does its best to emulate, real life to make it pop and make the consequences of the world feel real. And so your characters can and perhaps should develop relationships with NPCs given enough time and a long enough timeline. So there are a few different ways you can handle that, and it does have some pitfalls. Now, the first and obvious pitfall is, where do you draw the line? Because it is not very fun for players B, C, and D if player A takes an interest in a certain NPC and then just starts like flirting with them and is like, hey, no, I want to roleplay this out. Like, hey, oh, do you like this? And blah, blah, blah. And then it puts the DM in a weird space. How far do you roleplay that? And in my opinion, the best way to do it is the fade to black method, which is you have them roll a persuasion check or some sort of charisma roll, depending on the game you're playing. Then you ask them straight up, like, well, so you guys have a wonderful evening, and it ends perfectly. And this is if they succeed, obviously. If it's fun, if they fail, it's funny. You can just be like, have them throw their drink in the face or whatever. But if they succeed, she's like, tell me in a few short sentences what that looks like to you, and then you move on with the game. And then it's and I've had players become interested in that, and the fun part of that is that later on in the campaign you can bring that back. I had one campaign in which a player developed a relationship with an NPC who was guard captain of a certain city. Now, because of something else happening in the plot, the count, the leader of that city, turned out to be a bad guy and was killed in a different adventure altogether, not involving the guard captain at all. And so I had the guard captain be promoted to be the new, at least, leader of the city. So that person now had a significant, their character's significant other was now a person of extreme power in the city, and then going to that place became very memorable, and they kind of were afforded a few more benefits. So you can bring that character back into the story in very fun ways. And of course, the classic way to bring couples, someone's significant other, a character's significant other, back into the story is the trope of saving the significant other. Now, this can be done in the boring, cliche way, which is, frankly, a little sexist, which is the princess in the castle. Find a better take on that is my advice. But of course, you can. There are a lot of different ways you can play that. You can saving your significant other is a very visceral and real drive for a character and can give a good narrative reason as to why they're going on a quest. So it's not a trope to be avoided, it just needs to be handled carefully, in my opinion. And lastly, I'll make the note of backstory. That your character has a significant other in their backstory, and that can also be well, because number one, you can, in the backstory, include a reason as to why that significant other is not here in the story. Perhaps they live in a far-off kingdom. Perhaps they are a sailor and are out at sea at the moment or something. But it can give your character a bit more connection to the world and give the DM someone who they can bring into the adventure, weave that thread, as we talked about in day 3 or whatever, in and out as they see fit. Now, I had, for example, one campaign, actually it's an ongoing campaign, where one of the characters in their backstory was that they became this spellcaster because their significant other had died from a disease that no one could cure, and they seek out a way to bring them back from the dead. So that's their kind of character hook. Great, it's an awesome character hook. It's a drive for why they're gaining more power and more spellcasting ability, and it gave me the ability to throw in this little thing, which is when a new player joined the group, that player was a warlock. And later on, about 2 sessions, 3 sessions after the new player joined, I had this pack devil contact in a dream all the other players except for the warlock. And the pack devil said, because the backstory of this warlock is that they're a warlock, but they're multi-classing as a warlock, and they no longer, they kind of broken the pact with their devil, and so I said, yeah, you can do that, but the downside is the devil's going to be coming for you. Cool. So, a couple sessions later, the pack devil contacts the rest of the party but the warlock in a dream and says, if you pacify, incapacitate the warlock, new party member, and bring them to me, I will grant you all one wish spell. And they really, all the players are good friends, so they didn't really seriously consider betraying the new party member, except for one character who was able to roleplay it out, and that was the character who his significant other had passed away, and he had his character, really seriously consider and have an in-game argument with the other characters about, like, a wish spell would bring my beloved back to life. And I thought that was really cool. And of course, they were like, hey, we'll find another way to bring your beloved back to life. We can't forgo our principles and, like, give this person to this, devil that's hunting them. So it had a good, solid ending, but I thought it was a really nice little moment. And it does illustrate how the benefit of having couples in D&D, how having a significant other can really bring some good role-playing opportunities to the game. Anyway, I hope some of that helped. If you have ideas of your own about this or thoughts, please feel free to leave a comment. And if you like D&D videos about how to be a dungeon master, how to role play, how to enhance your D&D game that's not, about tactile, like, oh, I got a +2 here and we can maximize this. If you like those type of videos, consider subscribing to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.